Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me for a first look at this, the brand new BMW M4 CSL. The CSL badge is back, 50 years of BMW M and the fastest car they've ever made. We're going to go through all of the details of the new M4 CSL. It is 100 kilos lighter than the M4 competition. There will only be 1,000 of them in total. Power is up to 550 horsepower. Plus, just to show you very quickly, we also have homologated yellow headlights. Lots of cool details to explore then, here with a full first look at the newest member of this generation of the M3 and M4 family, a car that's been rumoured for a while, but it's here now on the 50th anniversary. We've got the M4 CSL. Let's start with a rapid-fire walk-around to go through the headline features of this very special car, released in a hugely significant year for BMW M, celebrating their 50th anniversary and doing so in style with the return of the CSL badge worn on the G82 M4. We'll then go through things in a lot more detail. There is plenty to explore, from the design and the aero to running through all of the different components that have been changed to save that 100 kilos of total weight, like the carbon fibre body parts, the fixed bucket seats, the rear seat delete, and check out new design elements as well, like the ducktail spoiler, the new tail lights, new wheels, you name it. So to start around the very front then, the CSL, it looks like it means business. It's lighter. Well, the name itself, in fact, stands for Coupe Sport Leightbau, lightweight in English, very much the philosophy that actually began back with the first time it was worn in the 1970s on the 3-litre, a very successful touring car of its time. It's been worn again by the E46 and now back for this car, limited to just 1,000 units. So to begin at the front, you can see some things have changed. We've got a carbon fibre bonnet, we've got a carbon fibre boot lid as well, the exposed carbon sections with the trim around them. We've got new grille inserts, obviously the CSL badging and all of these red accents and details that you find throughout. You've got new carbon fibre pieces down here at the splitter, obviously those new yellow headlights, a new set of wheels. We've got the badges as well that go with the 50th anniversary celebrations, the M4 with the red accents surrounding. As we come through, we've got carbon mirror caps and a carbon roof. This ducktail stands out, carbon fibre boot lid back here, again the heritage badges and the M4 CSL logos, and spot the new tail lights as well. In fact, just to unlock it and illuminate those, how cool is that? We've got the diffuser back down here with the quad exhaust tailpipes, and there have been lots of changes to the interior too. Inside here, the biggest is probably the new carbon fibre bucket seat, similar design to that of the folding bucket used in the M4 competition, but in this case a fixed bucket, saving more weight. New carbon fibre central tunnel. Gone is the armrest, in place the CSL badging in the centre, and in the back, if we can just take a quick look back here, we've obviously had away with the rear seats, replaced by basically just a board at the back and a cargo net down below to save as much weight as possible. Let's come to the engine, have a quick look at that for a moment, because this is the 3-litre TwinPower Turbo inline 6, now making 550 horsepower, up 40 horsepower from the regular M4 competition, up additional 30 from the regular M4 non-competition, and making the 650 Newton meters through that 8-speed M-Steptronic auto gearbox, all to the rear wheels, meaning that this car can do the 0 to 100 km/h sprint, or 62 miles an hour, in 3.8 seconds, and onto a top speed of 307 km/h. Not exactly bad. In fact, that comes in at about 190 miles per hour. You can see here, we've got this lovely carbon fibre bonnet. You can see the raw carbon underneath, that M logo as well up here at the top. A bit of the opening in the centre, of course, to house everything that sits below, and new strut braces compared to the regular M3 and M4 also sitting in there. If we close this back down, press it into place, of course we've got the exposed carbon stripes over the top. We always wondered when the M3 and M4 were introduced with the shape that they had here, what was going to come in the future, and they're finished with the red trim pack over the top of it as well. There are very few things by way of options when it comes to this car. Again, we can touch on those a little bit later on. So let's talk more about what's changed and start right here, the new style of grille inserts. Now, there was a lot of talk about these grilles when the G80 generation of the M3 and the G82 M4, G83 M4 convertible convertible and the like all arrived on the scene, but now we have a new style of inlay that you could say as well, obviously still housing the number plate across the centre with the M4 CSL badging worn on those gloss black elements there as well. Down below, all of these openings for the cooling to run through. You've got this new carbon splitter design across the bottom, which actually extends quite far around to the side. I'm rather surprised by how they've managed to pull that off. And you also have the laser lights, which, as I showed earlier, can illuminate yellow for the running light portion, which was introduced first on some of the bigger M cars. These are actually going to be built on the line with the bigger M cars in Dingolfing, just to the north of Munich. But that yellow traditional eye design surrounding the laser lights up front, finished everywhere with the heritage badging. As we come round, it's a new tyre as well for this car, the Michelin Cup 2R. The R tyre, very much about lap times, 19-inch up front, 20 to the rear, and we've got the carbon ceramic brakes with the red brake calipers as well in the satin black finish, looking menacing, in this case against the Brooklyn grey paint. Now there are only 3 different colours and no BMW individual. You can either have it in this colour, the grey, or you can go for sapphire black or alpine white, all grayscale options, which I find an unusual choice, but it will be interesting to see what the split between them works out to be. Up top, we've got the carbon fibre roof, coming back here towards this ducktail, as I said. Again, carbon fibre part for the boot lid, the trunk lid. Gone is the power fold, of course, saving some weight again with that. And you can see the carbon fibre exposed around the side, which is always oh so cool just to be able to look at. Still some decent practicality. Obviously, lighter weight carpets. Gone is the rear carpet, and the floor is lighter weight as well, taking out any weight possible. CSL, literally lightweight. That is the point and the purpose. And these rather lovely new tail lights also, which absolutely look the part. When they are illuminated, they really look awesome. Very, very nice details, this 3D effect you get around towards the sides of them. So if we come more to the interior, let's go through this in a little bit more detail as well then. Lots of Alcantara in this car. Alcantara steering wheel, carbon fibre inlays as well on the steering wheel itself. You've got more finishing around, the M stitching and details that you can see, the CSL badging obviously in the centre of the seats also, leather finished with the Alcantara sides and extra inlays and panels, also the M details on the seat belts, but basically a lighter weight version, taking away, as I said, the armrest, replacing it just with an open storage, also taking away the storage cover on the wireless charging tray that you have sat in the centre. It's a fixed bucket. You can manually adjust the height with some tools to change that, but basically just it slides forwards and backwards. And if we put the camera to the inside to have a better look into the back, again, rear seats are completely gone. All you've got back here is that shelf with the CSL badging and the cargo net down on the rear floor, you could say, to be able to pop some luggage back there, because this is not about trying to squeeze in passengers. This is a car that is designed to be fun, that is designed to be fast, and in fact the fastest car that BMW M have ever made, with the fastest ever time they've achieved at the Nürburgring Nordschleife with any of their models as well. Let's talk weight savings and how BMW M have brought this down to 1,625 kilos, 100 kilos lighter than the regular M4 competition. Now, of course, to do that is quite an extensive process. There are lots of different things. The largest of those is to do with the seats. Replacing the normal seat with the fixed carbon bucket saves a total of 24 kilos, of course, 12 kilos aside. Then beyond the front seats, doing away with the rear seats, replacing them and all of the different parts needed for that saves an additional 21 kilos. So we are 45 kilos down just from the seats alone, which is a very impressive place to begin. After those, there are an additional 21 kilos saved with the various driving dynamics components. For example, the lighter weight wheels, the carbon ceramic brakes, the struts, a few other changes that have been made. So we've already got 2/3 of the way. We then have 15 kilos that's saved through reducing the amounts of sound insulation, which no doubt add to the driver experience. It will probably sound fantastic to be on board one of these in anger on a track. You then have 11 kilos that are saved by the use of CFRP, so of course reducing the weight of the bonnet and the boot, but the addition of the extended carbon splitters around towards the front. After that, there is 4 kilos that are saved by the use of the titanium muffler, different exhaust system specific to the CSL, and another 4 kilos that comes from various miscellaneous parts. For example, having single zone air conditioning as opposed to the multi-zone, having the the new kidney grills, just taking touches of weight here and there, using the laser lights for the tail lamps and a few other bits and pieces all around the car. So we're talking 100 kilos lighter. That's quite a dramatic change, and certainly would be noticeable at the wheel, especially with the lighter wheels, with the new braking system, and also having the Cup 2R tyres, which will give it a lot of grip when driven in anger. Let's take a better look at the interior, and I'm going to take a seat on board in just a second. We've got the M4 CSL badging down here on the door sills. Gone are the floor mats, part of the miscellaneous weight savings. Obviously, we've touched on some of this, so let me just take a seat inside in these new carbon buckets. You feel very snug inside here, very high-sided, great for support when driving out on track. Perhaps a little bit awkward to climb in and out, but they do really look the part. And in fact, under the passenger seat, you can spot there's a fire extinguisher down there as well. But very familiar from the M3 and M4, the 6th generation of the cars. Obviously, a few changes. This is a really nice detail, the CSL badging on the leather just there with the USB-C charging port right below. But obviously taking away the armrest and taking away this cover, all part of the connection, I guess. You feel the slightly more track-focused nature of the beast. We've got the Alcantara steering wheel, which you can't order on the other models. This is specific for the CSL, very chunky, good feel to the grip. Obviously on the larger side though, if you prefer a smaller wheel, this might not be the one for you, but you've got the M1 and M2 buttons, configurable as per the other models, and in fact, we are allowed to start it. So let's just put on the brake, start this up quickly. There we go, have a little listen. Now in the main central screen, like with the other models down here, we've got the setup button, which you can press and you can adjust all of these different elements, the engine, the chassis, the steering, the brake. You can have your two different integrated brake system feelings. You've got the M traction control and also the M drift analyzer if you're that way inclined and would like to measure your ability for drifting. We also have the M mode button, which allows you to go through a few different settings, and if you hold it you can go directly into the track mode, which turns off everything that might distract you and gives you this more focused driving view with the rev counters, the gear selector, the speed and the rev bars on either side of that, with your settings as well, depending exactly which modes you've got it in. So M2, for example, just pops that up into sport for the moment. And you can have a little listen to it with the new titanium exhaust system that this particular car has installed, or you can bring it back and wake everything up and have your normal road mode, where here in the central screen you have all of the infotainment that you would hope. Now, talking technology, it's quite an interesting one with this. Just turn it off quickly, because very few things in terms of weight are standard. So the standard car in Germany actually comes without even having the alarm system because of the weight that that would introduce. Things like a head-up display that we have here is an option. The yellow lights up front is an option. There's single zone climate control as standard. You can have that dual zone again as an option, but the things like the Harman Kardon, that's not available. Things like the floor mats obviously taken away. Things that add significant weight wouldn't fit with the ethos and purpose of the CSL badging, hence they are no longer options available for this car at all, which is just, you know, a nod to the history and the purpose, really, what this is all about. You do still have door handles. Perhaps they could have saved even a little bit more weight, but it is not the easiest thing in the world to climb out of over those very high sides to the bolsters that you have here. They do just look absolutely the part. So like I said, familiar in many ways in terms of the infotainment that's available inside this car. We've got the specific M pedal set down there, which is quite nice as well. Obviously the 2 pedals with the 8-speed auto, no rear wheel drive for the M4, sorry, no manual, I should say, for the M4 CSL, but this looks good. It looks really, really stand out. It takes the M4, it turns it up. I would have loved to have had more different color options available, more individual choices perhaps, but obviously the inclusion of these new lights, both front and rear, being homologated with the yellow lights, as we see here, looks just epic and stands out so much, especially with all of the red accents that you find around. And in fact, if we swing back towards the rear very quickly, you can spot the BMW laser graphic, perhaps hard to see with the bright lights, but just down there at the base of the rear. This is going to be distinct when it's out on the road. That new look you get with this very flat rear end, thanks to having that lifted ducktail up towards the back. It's not like the GTS, for example, the M3 GTS, which had a roll cage, had a big wing on the rear. This is something, and the M4 GTS even, I should say, from the previous generation, this is something different with a different mentality, with a different style, with a slightly different purpose from the very outset. But this is the fastest car that BMW M have ever made when it comes to setting times on the track. And they've had some pretty impressive cars with the M4 GTS and the M5 CS even as well. The CS cars being the Club Sports. And of course there was a CS of the previous generation, and maybe we will have a CS that incorporates some of the elements of this car as well, a little bit down the line for the M3 and perhaps the M4 as well, all to be found out in due course. For today though, a first look at the new M4 CSL. And with only 1,000 cars in total, and I would imagine probably a lot more BMW dealers than that, these are going to be in some seriously high demand, and the prices here in Germany are 165,000 euros. It's probably going to be quite hard to get a hold of one. All I can tell you from today is that I cannot wait to get the opportunity to jump behind the wheel. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this first look at the new BMW M4 CSL. That is it for this time though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!